So what's in store at the NPC that starts this weekend?
Yeah, that's the big question, obviously. I've covered a lot of these NPCs/CPPCC, which is known in China as Lianghui, the two meetings that begin in just 4 days' time on March 5th, with, of course, the big gathering of party officials as well as government officials in Beijing. And, you know, times are a little bit different now after Xi Jinping secured that precedence-busting third consecutive term. So he will officially take over that mantle with a team of loyalists. Gone are the days of a standing committee and consensus building. Now it is about a consolidation of power of Xi Jinping, and he has alluded to that consolidation of power by saying that he is going to essentially accelerate reform of many government institutions, including, of course, oversight of the financial industry. He says that will happen at a relatively intensified manner. Now, keep in mind the two gentlemen who are going to be really overseeing financial and economic development are two of his staunchest loyalists. He Lifeng is likely taking over from Liu He as economic czar. He is the National Development and Reform Commission chairman, the NDRC, as well as premier will be Li Qiang, which oversees economic development. Both are loyal supporters, as I said, of Xi Jinping. So broad reform will be on the agenda. We don't have the specifics, but the tea leaves indicate that it's going to be likely the economic development and reform will likely be put more under party control, the CPC control, rather than controlled by the state institutions. So we'll have to see. But of all the National People's Congresses that I have covered, this perhaps is shaping up to be one of the more consequential ones.
She has consolidated power quite clearly within the party. What about broader domestic support?
That's a good question. I just mentioned earlier about, you know, the consensus building within the government. Perhaps those days are gone, especially on the standing committee. But where are the, you know, checks and balances? Well, that might come from society. We saw unprecedented uprisings following, of course, COVID-0 lockdowns and the sheer pain that was being felt across China, in all corners of China. We saw those protests, and that was kind of a referendum, if you will, Chinese style. It's very hard metric to determine how much support Xi Jinping has, but anecdotally and empirical evidence indicates an increasing number of people, most noticeably in the commercial center of Shanghai, which bared that 2-month lockdown earlier last year, that support perhaps for Xi Jinping, skepticism of his policies are probably mounting. So when you get, and Bloomberg News interviewed a number of people on the streets of Shanghai, at least 12 of them, and there is a deep cynicism, if you will, and skepticism of the path forward under Xi. You know, you've been bitten once, you're a little bit more shy the second time around. So for people in Shanghai, they're going to have to be convinced that this path forward on a more consolidated mandate of Xi Jinping is the right way forward.